Thank you, Paula. Jorge, thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Clemson. We are located on the land of the Eastern Cherokee and the Southern Iroquois, so it's great to be with you. I'm Sarah Summers Hoskin, and I'm a member of the UU Fellowship. I'm also stewardship chair, and I sit on a couple other committees and do hula hikes. So I'm really glad to be here this morning. Each week, this community comes together to participate in worship, music, and reflection. This is where we seek to have our hearts opened and our imaginations fired. This is the place that reminds us that we are all deeply connected to one another and all living things. So if you're visiting with us this morning, welcome. Do we have any visitors here this morning? Yeah, would you like to stand and introduce yourself, please?
Well, thank you, Sarah. Good morning. My name is Susan Zeski, and I'm the niece of Michael Cole, and my aunt is Jane McNamara. And I live in Madison, Wisconsin, where I'm a member of First Unitarian. Good to be here. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Good to see you here this morning.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah. This fellowship is actually a religious community that's grounded in the heritage and principles of Unitarian Universalism, which goes way back to 500 years basically, and you have these different religions, and was it 1961, something like that. So anyway, here we seek to create a loving community, inspire joy and spiritual growth, and support courageous action. All are welcome regardless of religious background, political persuasion, ethnicity, age, ability, sexual orientation, or gender identity or expression. If you're interested in getting our weekly newsletter, you can do so by clicking on, I think the newsletter is and the website is actually located here on our bulletin, so you can look at that. But it gives you an idea of what we do, and we do a lot here, okay? So, but we welcome you to participate as friends and also as members in our activities. As far as announcements go, okay, now if you look on the back of this, okay, there's like a whole bunch of them, okay? And you are most certainly welcome to peruse your way through this. I would like to just take a moment here. It looks like I've got some that I need to read to you. So, here's the most important one that's at the top, naturally. The hula hike to Virginia Hawkins Falls. I didn't do that either. I didn't put it there. Okay. It's an easy to moderate hike of 3 to 4 miles, and so if you need more information about it, contact me, please. Sunday, November 12th at 9 a.m. We're going to have another meeting of the Socratic Cafe. Cecil Huey and Alan Goldsmith lead this for us, and it's interesting dialogue, basically guided dialogue, and it teaches us it gives us a safe area to practice talking to each other about difficult topics. Okay. That's an interesting noise there. Yeah. Okay, so the Socratic Cafe will be meeting monthly on the second Sunday of every month, and everyone is invited, 9 a.m. at the Founder's House. And bring your own coffee, please. Wednesday, November the 15th is a grounds work day. It was originally scheduled for November the 5th, but it is now Wednesday, and so everyone is encouraged to come and participate as you can. It's a good way to get workout too, so you can think of it and think, okay. In the morning, right? Okay, and see Meg if you want to get more information. Oh, okay. So yes, Reverend Holly just mentioned that the parking lot right out here is going to be closed this coming Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So if you have meetings here, you have to just be aware to find sort of alternative little places to park your vehicle. Or if you can, maybe it's a good day to ride a bike or walk. So, yeah, okay, or carpool, yeah. Thursday, November the 23rd, there is actually, which is Thanksgiving Day, Barbara Stroop and Alan Goldsmith are going to be spearheading and hosting Thanksgiving dinner. And that's wonderful, yes. And so if you're interested, it's going to be here at the fellowship at 1:30. And if you're interested in participating in that, make sure that you get with them. I think they would like the RSVP by the 10th, okay? So they can know how much to cook. Okay. So, at this time, it is time for us to rise in body, mind, or spirit, and we're going to sing together this piece of music, Gathered Here, number 389 in the gray hymnal. And we're going to sing it through we're going to sing it through 3 times because it's very short. Thank you. You can be seated. Our opening words are entitled, Know You Are Not Alone, and Discover the Way of Our Voices Rise. And this is by Gretchen Haley. For this one moment, know only that you are loved, that you are safe and whole and loved. Know that you belong here among us, here upon this earth, in your body, however tired or broken your heart may be. Whatever fear, disappointment, or anger you carry, for this hour, know you are not alone. Feel the presence of others surrounding you, breathing beside you and with you, discovering together the way our voices rise and fall together in harmony, in hope. Claim here a resilient freedom, the choice for love, for light, to live with joy and gratitude and praise as a form of resistance. Reverend Holly's going to do the chalice lighting right now.
I'm wondering if Aurelia would be interested in lighting the chalice for me this morning. I didn't get a chance to ask beforehand, so just be careful coming up around stuff. Okay. We'll use this one. All right. Now, if you all will join with me in reading our affirmation, which you can find in your order of service. We gather together in a spirit of love, with justice as our guide. This is our chosen covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to care for one another.
This morning's story for Time for All Ages is one that is heavy on text and light on images, so please bear with me a little bit. The story this morning is The Fall of Freddie the Leaf, a story of life for all ages, by Leo Buscaglia. Spring had passed. So had summer. Freddie the leaf had grown large. His midsection was wide and strong, and his 5 extensions were firm and pointed. He had first appeared in spring as a small sprout on a rather large branch near the top of a tall tree. Freddie was surrounded by hundreds of other leaves just like himself, or so it seemed. Soon he discovered that no 2 leaves were alike, even though they were on the same tree. Alfred was the leaf next to him. Ben was the leaf on his right side, and Claire was the lovely leaf overhead. They had all grown up together. They had learned to dance in the spring breezes, bask lazily in the summer sun, and wash off in the cooling rains. But it was Daniel who was Freddie's best friend. He was the largest leaf on the limb and seemed to have been there before anyone else. It appeared to Freddie that Daniel was also the wisest among them. It was Daniel who told them they were part of a tree. It was Daniel who explained that they were growing in a public park. It was Daniel that told them that the tree had strong roots which were hidden in the ground below. He explained about the birds who came to sit on their branch and sing morning songs. He explained about the sun, the moon, the stars, and the seasons. Freddie loved being a leaf. He loved his branch, his light leafy friends, his place high in the sky, the wind that jostled him about, the sun rays that warmed him, the moon that covered him with soft white shadows. Summer had been especially nice. The long hot days felt good and the warm nights were peaceful and dreamy. There were many people in the park that summer. They often came and sat under Freddie's tree. Daniel told him that giving shade was part of his purpose. What's a purpose? Freddie had asked. A reason for being, Daniel had answered. To make things more pleasant for others is a reason for being. To make shade for old people who come to escape the heat of their homes is a reason for being. To provide a cool place for children to come and play. To fan with our leaves the picnickers who come to eat on checkered tablecloths. These are all reasons for being. Freddie especially liked the old people. They sat quietly on the cool grass and hardly ever moved. They talked in whispers of times past. The children were fun too, even though they sometimes tore holes in the bark of the tree and carved their names in it. Still, it was fun to watch them move so fast and laugh so much. But Freddie's summer soon passed. It vanished on an October night. He had never felt so cold. All the leaves shivered with the cold. They were coated with a thin layer of white which quickly melted and left them dew-drenched and sparkling in the morning sun. Again, it was Daniel who explained that they had experienced their first frost, the sign that it was fall and that winter would soon come. Almost at once, the whole tree, in fact, the whole park, was transformed into a blaze of color. There was hardly a green leaf left. Alfred had turned a deep yellow. Ben had become a bright orange. Claire had become a blazing red. And Freddie was red and gold and blue. How beautiful they all looked. Freddie and his friends had made their tree a rainbow. Why did we turn different colors, Freddie asked, when we're all on the same tree? Each of us is different. We have different experiences. We have faced the sun differently. We have cast shade differently. Why should we not have different colors? Daniel said matter-of-factly. Daniel told Freddie that this wonderful season was called fall. One day, a very strange thing happened. The same breezes that had in the past made them dance began to push and pull at their stems, almost as if they were angry. This caused some of the leaves to be torn from their branches and swept up in the wind, tossed about, and dropped softly to the ground. All the leaves became frightened. What's happening? They asked each other in whispers. It's what happens in the fall, Daniel told him. It's the time for leaves to change their home. Some people call it to die. Will we all die? Freddie asked. Yes, Daniel answered. Everything dies, no matter how big or small, how weak or strong. We first do our job. We experience the sun and the moon, the wind and the rain. We learn to dance and laugh. Then we die. I won't die, said Freddie with determination. Will you, Daniel? Yes, Daniel answered, when it's my time. When is that? Asked Freddie. No one knows for sure, Daniel responded. Freddie noticed that the other leaves continued to fall. He thought, it must be their time. He saw that some of the leaves lashed back at the wind before they fell. Others simply let go and dropped quietly. Soon, the tree was almost bare. I'm afraid to die, Freddie told Daniel. I don't know what's down there. We all fear what we don't know, Freddie. It's natural, Daniel reassured him. Yet you were not afraid when spring became summer. You were not afraid when summer became fall. They were natural changes. Why should you be afraid of the season of death? Does the tree die too? Freddie asked. Someday. But there is something stronger than the tree. It is life. That lasts forever, and we are still a part of life. Where will we go when we die? No one knows for sure. That's the great mystery. Will we return in the spring? We may not, but life will. Then what has been the reason for all this? Freddie continued to question. Why were we here at all if we only have to fall and die? Daniel answered in his matter-of-fact way. It's been about the sun and the moon. It's been about the happy times together. It's been about the shade and the old people and the children. It's been about colors in the fall. It's been about the seasons. Isn't that enough? That afternoon, in the golden light of dusk, Daniel let go. He fell effortlessly. He seemed to smile peacefully as he fell. Goodbye for now, Freddie, he said. Then Freddie was alone, the only leaf left on his branch. The first snow fell the following morning. It was soft, white, and gentle, but it was bitter cold. There was hardly any sun that day, and the day was very short. Freddie found himself losing his color, becoming brittle. It was constantly cold, and the snow weighed heavily upon him. At dawn, the wind came that took Freddie from his branch. It didn't hurt at all. He felt himself float quietly, gently, and softly downward. As he fell, he saw the whole tree for the first time. How strong and firm it was. He was sure that it would live for a long time, and he knew that he had been a part of its life, and it made him proud. Freddie landed on a clump of snow. It somehow felt soft and even warm. In his new position, he was more comfortable than he had ever been. He closed his eyes and fell asleep. He did not know that spring would follow winter and that the snow would melt into water. He did not know that what appeared to be his useless, dried self would join with the water and serve to make the tree stronger. Most of all, he did not know that there, asleep in the tree and the ground, were already plans for new leaves in the spring. The beginning.
Thank you, Karen. Love Leo Boscaglia. Yeah. This is the time that we set aside for the offering in order to give toward the financial vitality of this community. Also, 25% of the weekly collection each week goes to an organization in the local community that we partner with. For the month of November, we are partnering with Clemson Community Care, For those at home, you can go to the UUFC website and use the donate button. There will be options for paying. Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you. It was beautiful. So you might have noticed these last few weeks, we've had an opportunity for someone to share a testimonial, and this week is no different. In just a moment, I'll invite Leslie Visage up. I wanted to also update you on how we're doing so far. So far, we've received 37 pledge packets back as of Friday morning. And we still have $75,869 to go to reach our goal. But if you think about that, 37 people have gotten us that close to our $180,000 goal. Y'all are doing awesome so far. And I know that together we can reach that goal. And so I would like to invite Leslie to come up and share.
Reverend Holly and Sarah Summers asked me to share why I pledged to UUFC. My husband and I moved to Clemson a little more than 3 years ago from Minnesota, and we were searching for warmer winter weather. Minnesota's a wonderful state. The winters get rather long, and they're cold, and they're icy, and they're long. And we met when we were graduate students at Clemson University. So that gave this area an edge. Plus, my husband grew up in Mountain Rest, which is just literally up the mountain from here. I had been a member of a UU church in Minnesota, so the presence of a UU fellowship in Clemson was another plus. Moving in a pandemic made finding a spiritual community even more important. It was a very challenging time to be moving from everything from trying to find furniture for your home and appliances, but most especially meeting new people. People were afraid to go out, and when you're new and you need to make friends, that's just doubly hard. And it's hard meeting new people at 60-something years old, no matter where you go. So I began by viewing UUFC services on YouTube and joining in the conversation on Zoom. Reverend Christina invited me to join a covenant group, and that gave me the opportunity to get to know other women in the congregation, and we shared life experiences, and we supported each other through hard times. And several of them are here today, and they became very good friends, and I very much value that. After UUFC began having in-person services, I was able to meet many of the people I'd seen on Zoom. And while you can get to know someone through Zoom, it's not the same. I was also able to start participating in aspects of congregational life, including being a worship associate, helping with the service auction, and being on the minister search committee. which were very fulfilling, and most especially the last one, because we were successful in bringing Reverend Holly Brown to our congregation, and I hope that everyone has been as pleased and excited about that as I have. I've gone on a number of the hula hikes, and they're always fun. They give you a chance to explore the mountains of South Carolina and North Carolina, and it's another opportunity to get to know people of the congregation as well as friends of Sarah's and friends of the congregation. In short, UUFC has become my spiritual home and a source of inspiration for me. I've found others who share my values and want to work together to make the world a better place. I pledge to UUFC because this community is very important. Without financial support and the work of volunteers, it will not exist, and I want to do my part. I hope you will join me.
Thank you, Leslie. That seems like a perfect transition into a time for joys and concerns, that quiet tinkling of the wind chimes. And so this time of our joys and concerns is a time of sacred sharing of ourselves with one another, whether they are read aloud from those that I have here or they remain quiet and tender upon our hearts. This time allows us to hold one another in care. As I read these joys and concerns, I've asked Sarah to place a stone into this shared vessel, which represents this community of caring. Have a joy from Chin Fu, having a dinner with friends, meditation under the sun, a great movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. Have a joy from Mike Cole that his niece has been visiting, and it's been a delight. Have a joy from JB that the game yesterday and Clemson won against Notre Dame. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And Benedetta shares a concern that not enough people know about UUFC. And all of these and those that we hold in our heart, we add one final stone. Thank you. And now we have the opportunity to invite our children and youth to go to RE as we sing Go Now in Peace. We forgot to check the oil this morning. That was my mistake. So we have an alternative for our chalice flame here now. And we're about to have a lot more flames lit in just a few minutes. First, I want to help us move into a spirit of prayer, and then I will give some instruction guiding us to come forward and light candles of remembrance. This prayer is They Are With Us Still by Kathleen McTeague. In the struggles we choose for ourselves, the ways we move forward in our lives and bring our world forward with us, it is right to remember the names of those who gave us strength in the choice of living. It is right to name the power of hard lives well lived. We share a history with those lives. We belong to the same motion. They too were strengthened by what had gone before. They too were drawn on by the vision of what might come to be. Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, have not melted into the dust and have not disappeared. They are with us still. The lives they lived hold us steady. Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We, the living, carry them with us. We are their voices, their hands, and their hearts. We take them with us, and with them choose the deeper path of living. In the next few minutes, there will be a video of the hymn we are playing, as you are invited to come forward and light candles of remembrance. I will light the first one. I have some family that is represented by someone that could not attend here in person, and I offered to light some candles for them. And then as the music plays, you'll be each invited to come forward, whether they are images or names that have been lifted up here or those that you hold on your heart. I'm sure the video might end before all of you have had a chance to come forward. And so, as the video ends, I invite you to call aloud names of your loved ones that have passed, names of your ancestors, and let those names fill this space as we settle back in to the next part of our service.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are one.
I want to leave one more moment of space if anybody would like to call out names before we move on to our reading.
I'd like to call the name of my cousin Rory, who died last week.
My mother, who is in town.
My brother Fernando,
We hold these and so many other names, those that remain unspoken, those of our distant ancestors and those that are too new and too tender to name. Have a reading called The Sacred Thread, honoring those who once dwelled among us, a people of memory, they who knew us, they who taught us, they who hurt us, they who loved us. They touch our lives time and again through their presence and through their absence, through their favorite scents and favorite songs, through old stories and renewed sorrow. As the earth turns and the leaves fall, we reach back to renew the bonds between us. With hearts and hands opened, we hold on to love, ever stronger than death. We reach back in gratitude and understanding. Without our time together, the pain and the joy, we would never be who we are today, and we would have little to pass on of ourselves. Without fear and with thanksgiving and with hope for all that awaits, we remember those who have gone before. We honor the circle of life and death and our place within this sacred thread. Thank you, choir. That was beautiful. Today we have remembered those who came before us. This week has held several traditions remembering those that are no longer with us, those that we hold in our hearts, those that we carry forward in our stories. In pagan, particularly Celtic tradition, October 31st is celebrated as Samhain, and remember the departed, representing the third harvest of the pagan wheel of the year. In Christian tradition, there's the All Souls and All Saints days represented earlier this week. And Mexican individuals and individuals of Mexican heritage around the world also celebrate Dia de los Muertos. These traditions don't just reflect on the recently departed, but can stretch back to our distant ancestors. It can be a reminder of how deeply we are connected to one another, remembering that we are not alone in this life, and that we are formed by a cloud of witnesses, of ancestors who have shaped us. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. And our ancestors don't need to be those only of blood relatives, but those who cared for one another, like family, or those that have shared a type of history, such as our religious ancestors, whether that is Theodore Parker or William Ellery Channing, Sophia Lyon Foss, or Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, or those more recently lost, those gone too soon, Reverend Dr. Hope Johnson, Alondria Williams, or Jim Key among the leaders at the UU level, those that have helped establish the legacies in this congregation, reminding us with the recent passing of Cindy Rogers and the impact of the Rogers and the Keneally's and so many others that came before in this congregation that carry that legacy forward. And I want to lift up something that I heard several years ago and that feels so right in thinking about my theology of death when I heard it. The words are attributed to David Eagleman, but I'm sure they date back before he wrote them down. And that is of the three deaths. That when your body ceases, that when your body is buried or cremated, and that which happens when someone speaks your name for the last time. Imagine for a moment how long your story might last, because someone in your life will continue to know you and to remember you in stories beyond when our lives end. We have history full of stories of people, whether they are kings or queens or famous people, historical figures, family members, stories of those that are no longer with us, that have been recorded in a variety of different ways, whether it is diaries, letters, memoirs, biographies, video, paintings, written down. And I do sometimes wonder, did our ancestors know that we would be reading their private diaries or letters? And what must they think if they knew? I'm not sure that I would want anybody to read my teenage diary. I don't even want to go back and read it, to be honest. But there are individuals that have shaped us, that have created such value in our own lives. What would we want people to remember? The stories that we want them to carry forward of us and for us. Because we carry forward our ancestors' so do those that come after us will continue to carry us forward, stretching infinitely in both directions. We are connected by love that we won't know and that we can't know, but that we are, in fact, shaped by and shaping continually. And there are stories that keep people alive. Now, I have a story that I want to share with you, but I don't know if this person remains living or not, because I've never met her, but I am named for her. My dad, when he was a little boy in school, he was diagnosed with dyslexia and moved into a special ed class, and a lot of kids made fun of him. But there was a little girl named Holly that was always kind to him and that always invited him to play or to her birthday party. And so while I've never met her, I continue on part of her story, and she is part of mine. That is the power that we have of stories. Sometimes we don't even know how we impact people. And this reminds me of a Maya Angelou quote. Maybe you've heard it. I've learned that people will forget what you said, that people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. We carry people with us, and there was a moment a little over a week ago at the celebration of life for Trent Keneally when someone said that we should tell people how we feel while they are still here for us to share those memories, those stories, because we might share something that the other person doesn't even register as a moment to remember, but because of how it made you feel, you carry it with you. So there is value in sharing the stories, not just of those that have departed already, but to share the stories that we hold with one another. Now, that's not to say that some of our stories don't become larger than life. My story of my name has changed over the years, details added and taken away. But there is something that connects us to those around us. It helps us understand ourselves and the world around us in different ways through sharing these stories. Of those ancestors lifted up, whether in photos or names, those called aloud and those that remain on our hearts, I hope that you will continue to find connection to those that came before, to those that will come after, and to those here in this community today. And while we know that stories can bring pain and sadness, there is also opportunity for joy to be remembered and celebrated. I pray in my most UU version of prayer that you may find more hope, more joy, more love in this life. Most of all, may you hold close, love close, and find that it sustains you even in the difficult moments. May it hold you in times of joy and of sorrow. May it be so, and blessed be. Because of the time, I'm going to ask that we maybe just do the first two verses of Comfort Me, which are Comfort Me and Dance and Sing With Me, found in the Teal hymnal, number 1002. Before I offer our closing words, I want to lift up that this service can bring up tender emotions, and if anybody needs or would like to check in, have a moment, or plan to have a moment in the days to come, please reach out and let me know. I offer these closing words by Leah Derlin Jones, inspired by our ancestors. For those who came before us, we offer gratitude and thanks, and may we feel surrounded by their love. As we go forth from this place and from this time, let us be inspired by their courage, their wisdom, and their dreams. Let us honor them by doing the work of living boldly, loving mightily, and creating heaven on earth. Amen, and blessed be.